Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Jack Graham and Straight Talk with Jack. Another video for you today. A little bit different. Kind of going to be a little bit all over the place till the very end. And then I want to talk about something that happened last night that was very surprising to me. And maybe you guys could straighten me out, help me out, answer some questions, because I was a little bit kind of not happy about something, and I'll get to that. A couple things. Thank you for being here, first of all. Again, please subscribe and hit the like button and the drill. Anyhow, some new things, some old things, and again, something that's really had me not too happy. Freddie Hubbard, Hubtones, great record on Blue Note. We're going to talk about Freddie. You know, I recently received this record, and I've seen a couple reviews of this already online from Mike, I believe, over in Germany, 45 RPM audiophile. He hit a home run. Packaging's great. The vinyl's great. It's quiet. It's everything you'd expect from RTI and the great mastering people, Ryan K. Smith and Kevin Gray, and of course Bernie Grudman, and so many other people who do a really amazing mastering job these days. But the music on this is really amazing. In the background here, you're hearing Hubtones. I believe this was two records prior to this record. This is Breaking Away, and it is breaking away. Breaking Point. It does break away from what Freddie was really known for, this kind of great playing, you know, very Clifford Brownish, just great playing. Don't think he reached Clifford, but close, different ways. But Freddie really reached out on this. It's really easy to stay financially at the time, to be real conservative and keep making real great swinging tunes, records with tunes that we all know, and some jazz tunes that became icons. Freddie did 6 records prior to this on Blue Note. This was recorded in 1964, May of 1964. But this is radically different from what you're hearing in the background here. There are some parts in this that just swing like crazy, and they're great. But for this record, Freddie plays some very different things, some modal things, some very different time adjusted time signature stuff. Stuff that in 1964, this was not for Freddie. This was a chance. You like to say stay safe and make all what you're known for, but Freddie moved out on this. On the first side, for example, there's only two tunes, and they stretch out on here. You have Freddie Hubbard on trumpet. You have James Spaulding, and Freddie used a lot. He used a young Ronnie Matthews on piano. Plays a lot like Herbie on this, but really plays some really outside modal, really cool stuff on here. Eddie Kahn on bass. Again, I don't know what happened to him. I've seen him on some things, but he wasn't as prolific as Ron Carter or some of the other great bass players that frequented Blue Note studios. And Joe Chambers on drums. Joe Chambers, I believe, played piano as well, and actually wrote a couple tunes, at least one tune on here, if I remember right. And yes, but Freddie wrote all the other 4 tunes on here, and it's very different playing. I recommend you listen to this. The recording's great, sound is great, but musically, if you want to hear somebody take a chance and not be complacent in playing, nothing wrong with it. I love it. But it's a very interesting record. Kudos to Freddie and Blue Note for recording this. In that time period, it was very, very ahead of its time, let's just say. But a good record. Breaking Point on Blue Note, Tone Poet, just came out. Another record just came out, Bill Evans, You Must Believe in Spring. Again, folks have talked about how beautiful package this is and vinyl. Kraft Records reissue. Bill made this record late in his career. And I have to tell you, musically, I listened to this a half a dozen times. I think I mentioned in the last video, Israel's and Paul Modian on drums. I thought it was his greatest trio. This to me is a close second. You had Eddie Gomez on bass and Elliot Ziegman on drums. We'll get into some other things about Bill Evans here. I might as well do it now. I was going to wait till later, but let's talk about them now. There are two other Bill Evans albums I want to talk about. Well, let's finish this first. Very quiet vinyl, but very tasty playing. I think maybe some of Bill Evans' greatest playing. Bill Evans is going through a lot of stuff during this period, personally, health-wise, that you can read about, and it reflects in his playing. I think this might be is a very emotional record. It's a very quiet record, very, very, very just from the heart. You want to, jazz is like painting. It's like what you're going through comes out in your playing. If you're a great genius like Bill Evans was, and boy, it sure comes out in this. If you parallel what he was going through, some personal losses, some drug issues, some other things, and it really shows up here. But it's great playing. I put this in my top 5, certainly, of Bill Evans' recordings. And the more I listen to it, it's moving up. It's just a great record. You can listen to the other folks do a great job of telling you about the package and how it is. But I have to tell you, musically, man, it's just so beautiful. And Elliot Ziegman on drums just adds a lot of color. He's not a pounding player. He's a lot of color. Just does a great job. And Eddie Gomez, who later went on to, work with Chick Corea and some other great pianists, steps ahead. They really worked well together in this group. And if you don't have it, please find it. It's a great record. It's a two record set on 45 RPM off Kraft Records. If you don't have it, by the time you hear this, they may be hard to find, but find one if you can. They're great, or buy one of the older. It's a reissue. Buy one of the older records. It's great. Finally shipped TRIO65, and I have to tell you, honestly, I was a little disappointed. Not in the quality of the record and the jacket and all of that's great. The mix is great. Sound is great. The vinyl's great. I listened to this a couple times, and I said, well, maybe the second time I'm going to like it better than the first time. And I did. It's a great record. And Evans' playing is as always. There's another guy I don't think ever made a bad recording. And, it's on Verve, so it's recorded well. This trio had Larry Bunker on drums, who is a great drummer in my view, my opinion, in the right circumstance. I think Larry is a good big band drummer, larger group drummer. He's a little heavy on here, and that's really what kind of bothered me a little bit on here. Great tunes, How My Heart Sings, Come Rain or Come Shine. Just Our Love Is Here to Stay. Just great tunes. Israel's is on bass, who does a good job. I think that Larry Bunker's playing takes a little bit away from the recording. He's a little bit heavy-handed. And, after hearing the prior trio record that was released, which is TRIO64, both on the Verve label, with Modian, and interestingly enough, Gary Peacock, who later went on to work with Keith Jarrett with DeJohnette for so many years in that trio. Peacock, I think, man, I tell you, I wish he stayed with Bill Evans. I don't know what happened, why that didn't happen, but he didn't record, I think, 1 or 2 records maybe with Evans. But this trio is so much more musical, and it's because Paul Modian doesn't get in the way. No knock on Larry Bunker. He's a great player, one of the great drummers in the right situation. You know, it's so a drummer can make or break any band, believe me. And on here especially, I'd love to hear this record with these tunes with either Peacock or Chuck Israels. I think it would have been a better record. Again, it's a must-have. It's a very good record. Evans plays exceptionally well. I think the TRIO64 record for me is a little more musical. What do you think? You know, I'd be interested to hear some comments. Again, no knock on Larry. I'm sure he's a good drummer, but in the right circumstance. 2 other recordings I picked up from Japan, Japanese pressing and clean. These got shipped from a place called the Record Store in Japan, and I ordered them on a Sunday. They got here on a Thursday, FedEx, and I think it was like $20 shipping. It wasn't a lot of money. But I have these on CD and I wanted them on vinyl. VSOP, named after the cognac. But this is essentially the Miles Quintet with Freddie Hubbard. And they did a bunch of concerts back on the West Coast back, in the day. And really played great. Almost to a point that I think they're on par with Miles, with the stuff they did with Miles. Freddie plays really well on here. It's stretched out in maybe a little bit different way. Great, some swinging stuff and some nice ballads and some soulful playing. But if you can find these clean copies, please pick these up. VSOP. There's about 3 or 4 of them. These are just 2 of the 4. The Quintet. And it may have been one of the last great quintets of that time period. With great playing, great geniuses. One last thing before I get into my interesting little thing here. Gerald Wilson, big band, new. This is one of the underrated big bands on the West Coast here in LA. I think people know of this band a lot more than they do in New York, but there's just some great playing on here. Gerald Wilson's a great writer and a great arranger. Teddy Edwards is on this. Johnny Audino and Freddie Hill are the lead players. Audino's a great lead player. Not really a jazz player, but he was a great studio lead player in Los Angeles for a lot of years. Al Porcino's on this. Frank Strong, but Night Nimitz is on here. Great players. Joe Pass plays a lot on here. And Joe Pass plays really well. Joe Pass with a big band. Picture that. We've heard him with Oscar. We've heard him with small groups. With a big band. It's a great record and a great recording. Pacific Jazz had great sound. And again, the remix on this, the reissue, it's in the Tone Poet series. Again, a Kevin Gray master. Gerald Wilson, big band. A very interesting record and a very musical record. Now, for my pet peeve, let me tell you what happened last night. So we're being gifted recently by the contemporary reissues. We've got 2 already. We've got the 11, Art Pepper and 11, and we've got the new poll winners with Shelly Manne and Ray Brown, Barney Kessel. Great records, great music. We all should have. For those of you who can't find the contemporaries or whatever, it's great to have these reissues. And thank you, Chad Kasem, for doing this. Contemporary, thank you for doing it. They're needed in the history. This is one of the more popular records the Contemporary ever sold. Great playing. Marty Page did the arrangements, 11 pieces. Band Jack Sheldon's on this, Rossellino's on this, great LA players. It's a who's who. So about a year ago, I opened up my wallet and found I believe in Germany, a very clean copy on the Contemporary green label. So this was a reissue of the original. This was, I believe, probably sold in 1961, which makes it, 60 years old plus. But it's very clean, you know, and it sounds great. It sounds really wonderful. So I said, I wonder what this sounds like compared to the brand new 180 gram vinyl remaster by Bernie Grundman, who is the man. I believe QRP pressed this, so it's a great pressing. It's clean. It's product-wise, it's amazing. So I have two turntables. I have a Riga P3 and a P2. The P3 I have their updated, I think it's called an Exacta cartridge. It's their $700 cartridge. Not a cheap cartridge for me. It's cheap in the audiophile world, but for me, it's a high-end cartridge. On my P2, I have an Ortophon Bronze, again about a $700 cartridge, and they both have different characteristics. The Ortophon's a little bit brighter. The Elise is a great balanced cartridge. It has a great mid-range and a good high-end. Ortophon's a little brighter. They're both good cartridges. So I put the old record, the original Contemporary, on the P2, and the new reissue on the P3. And on my preamp, it's got a phono preamp built in. It's Macintosh C32. I hit a button and it switches between turntables. Boom, 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 boom. And man, I heard a difference. I said, man, that's really amazing. And I figured, well, you know, this reissue must be amazing. I could really hear the difference. And I looked, and the better sounding record was not the reissue. It was the original Contemporary. So I said, okay, it must be the Ortophon cartridge because it's a little brighter, and maybe it sounds better than the Riga cartridge. I don't know. I haven't had time yet to play around too much with it. So I switched the records. I put the old one back on the Riga 3 and the new one on the Riga 2. Hit the switch. Same thing. So it wasn't the cartridge. And I'm going, wow. And I did this for about an hour. I called my wife in and I said, Linda, which one sounds better? And Linda is not a musician, but she goes, that one. Immediately. It was the original Contemporary. So I don't know. Why is that? I don't really have the answer. Maybe I got some phenomenal, there's a record store down in Thousand Oaks, California called Better Records, who sells what they call hot stamper, which they go through records upon records upon records and find good pressings. Pressing of one record it can be different from the same pressing for reasons that I can't explain properly. Better Records, check them out. They have a great better-records.com. I'll put the link on. They explain a lot of stuff. Maybe I got one of those. I don't know. But it's not even. I should say it's not even close. It's the reissue is really good. It's really, really good. And if I hadn't heard the original Contemporary, it's not the original, the reissue of the original Contemporary 3 or 4 years later, I'd say, man, this is great. And it's great. I'm not saying not to buy it. It's great. I'm not finding any fault with it. But the original record, man, it sounds more open. It sounds a little brighter. The bass is about as tight on the low end. The midsection of the horns in the band when they're playing is a little fuller, and there's a little bit more going. I don't know what it is. I don't know. If anybody has any comments, if anybody has the original Contemporary and has done this, I don't know. But I heard it. My wife heard it. So I don't know. I'm a little miffed. Anyhow, that's going to do it for now. Hey, listen, thank you all for your time to listen, and hope maybe I've entertained you, maybe I've educated a little bit. It's just fun for me to share some knowledge, little that I have compared to some of the other folks on YouTube. But thank you all. Again, subscribe, like, the whole bit. And until next time, we'll see you again. Bye-bye.